Hello, and welcome to DarkTrailz, the place where you are guided into mesmerizing stories designed to help you unwind and drift into sleep. Tonight, we venture somewhere different, where science and wonder hold hands, and even the smallest particle can feel lost. The clouds outside are low and heavy. Rain taps your window like curious fingers, drumming a rhythm older than anything you could name. Somewhere beneath your pillow, something buzzes faintly, not a dream, not quite real. Tonight, you are going to meet a lonely atom, not a metaphor, not a bedtime allegory, a literal atom. It talks, it remembers, and it is trying to get home. The strange part, you are the only one who hears it. You probably won't survive this, not in the sense of danger, but in the way your understanding of the universe might unravel, thread by glowing thread. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I would love to know, where are you listening from? And what time is it there? Drop it in the comments. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let us ease into tonight's journey together. It begins with static. That old radio you found at the garage sale, the one with the cracked walnut veneer and a knob that squeaks like a sleepy mouse, suddenly comes to life on its own. You had not touched it. It was off. You are sure of it. But now the dial glows pale green. And hello, is this Earth? You stare. Your tea goes cold. The voice speaks again. I think I am lost. I was part of a nova once. Now I am in this cup of pudding. You blink. The kitchen smells of vanilla and ozone. Rain rattles against the glass like impatient applause. The radio continues. Can you hear me? I used to burn in the core of a giant. Now someone's eaten me with a plastic spoon. This is your moment. You lean closer and whisper. Yes, I hear you. A pause. Then, oh thank quarks. I thought I was hallucinating electrons. You learn quickly the voice belongs to an atom. An actual atom. Carbon maybe, though it insists that labels are overrated. It has a twang of British radio announcer mixed with bedtime librarian. It is charming. And alone. I have seen galaxies form, it says. Watched continents dance. Drifted through mammoth lungs. But I have never spoken to someone like you. Outside, lightning flashes. One of those slow strobe bursts that lets you see the world pause mid-blink. The atom hums when it gets emotional. You feel it more than hear it, like a violin string plucked inside your spine. It explains how it started in the heart of a dying star, hurled across light years in a cosmic tantrum, eventually landing, somehow, in your neighborhood, in your food, then your radio. I followed the hum, it says, that frequency you call static. To me, it is a lullaby. You ask its name. Don't really have one. It replies, but you can call me Dot. You like that, Dot. A lonely speck with a voice. A lightning bolt dances too close for comfort. And your power flickers. The room briefly dips into shadow, but the radio glows steadily. Dot sighs. I do not want to fade again. I have done the whole existence thing. I would rather belong. You do not know what that means yet. But you feel it, the ache behind the science, a yearning that seems too human for something without skin or bones. I need to go back. Dot murmurs, not back to the star, back to matter, to meaning. You ask, where do we begin? Dot chuckles, take off your shoes. We are climbing to the roof. You hesitate, then obey. The shingles are wet, slick under your bare feet, but the sky is clear now. Like someone peeled back a curtain. Stars wink down. Old friends with secrets. Dot speaks through the radio still clutched in your hand. Before we find my way home, you will need to know where I have been. This is not just a journey through space. It is memory. It is myth. It is molecules and monarchs and mud pies. You sit, cross-legged, hair damp with mist, as Dot begins. Once, I was plasma. Then I was pressure. Then I was breath, and so it begins. The roof tiles feel like old teeth beneath you, slightly uneven, mossy in patches, and a little warm from the last stretch of sun they drank before the storm. You hold the humming radio close, its glow pulsating with the rhythm of Dot's voice. You do not quite know how to sit for a story like this. Do you cross your legs, lie down, curl up like a croissant? Suit yourself, Dot says, somehow hearing your indecision. Comfort is key when you are about to relive 13.8 billion years of existential confusion. The radio cracks, hisses, then clears. I spoke first, Dot says, proudly, before dinosaurs, before bacteria, before even your son burped into being. You raise an eyebrow. You talked before there were ears to hear you. Exactly. Tragic, right? Dot giggles. But I still spoke. Every photon I released from that star, every burst of energy, that was me shouting across the void, hoping someone someday might translate the light. You stare up. The stars are not just stars anymore. They are old conversations, unsent voicemails blinking from deep space. Dot continues. My journey began in a Type 2 supernova. Massive star, big personality, terrible temper. When she went kaboom, I was flung like confetti at a wedding hosted by gravity. There is a pause, a silence like the edge of a memory. Then Dot says, I traveled for millions of years as stardust, passing through nebulae like fog through a dream. The wind curls around your neck like a scarf. Somewhere nearby, a cat yowls dramatically, possibly offended by quantum metaphors. Eventually, Dot says, I found myself caught in the birth of a solar system, not yours, another one, brief, bright, very molten. I became part of a planet made mostly of magnesium and regret. Didn't last. You squint. So, you have died before. Dot hums. Atoms do not really die. We just remix, kind of like jazz. You lie back on the damp tiles, radio resting on your chest. Dot's voice is quieter now, reverent. But this is the first time I have had language. Thought, purpose. Lightning ripples across the clouds again. You smell petrichor, the earthy perfume of thirsty ground drinking in sky tears. You ask, how did you end up in pudding? Oh, that is modern history. Dot replies, we will get there. First, I need to show you what it means to bond. Not emotionally, chemically. The air warps, the sky creaks. Suddenly, you are not on the roof. You are sliding, sideways, upward, down into nothingness. No need to scream, Dot says, unless it is from joy. Everything inverts. For a moment, your eyelashes feel upside down. Then, light, red, orange, violent. You land on stone, hot, black, bubbling with possibility. This, Dot announces, is the Hadean Eon, Earth's baby photos, pre-ocean, pre-oxygen, post-apocalyptic barbecue pit. Lava oozes in glowing veins. Meteorites pummel the surface like impatient guests, banging at a party that has not started yet. Dot buzzes in your palm. Watch closely. A droplet forms in a crevice. Another joins it. Then, the third. They shiver, jiggle, collide. Suddenly, a shimmer, a bond. That is me. Dot whispers, making my first friend. You watch as atoms link. Separate. Link again. It is a dance. A hesitant courtship. And then it happens. A molecule. Historians still argue. Dot murmurs. Whether life began in a tide pool, a lightning bolt, or a hydrothermal vent. But I was there for one version. And it started with a shimmer, promise, and a lot of awkward angles. You watch as those first molecules drift through primal steam, bumping into other hopefuls. The air smells like scorched soup. You notice a shimmer nearby, greenish, almost like a jellyfish playing with shadows. That, Dot says, is a protocell, not alive yet, but dreaming. You lean closer, the protocell twitches, then sneezes. You jerk back. It sneezed. Dot chuckles. It expelled water through osmotic imbalance. But sure, call it a sneeze. You will sleep better. You spend what feels like an hour watching primitive chemistry fumble its way toward life. Dot narrates like a nature documentary host with a caffeine addiction. Eventually, the world dims. The lava cools. We need to go. Dot whispers. The bond broke. My friend drifted apart. You look down. You are holding nothing. Dot's voice comes faint through the radio. I was not ready then. I did not know what home meant. The sky fractures again. The roof returns beneath you like a sigh. The cat yowls once more. This time from your neighbor's trampoline. You are back, but you are changed. Dot's voice steadies. That was the first time I felt connection, but it would not be the last. You ready for more? You nod. The night is just beginning. Dot's hum changes. It is deeper now, like a cello note vibrating through water. Take a breath, it says. The next part might get squishy. The radio, still resting on your chest, crackles and brightens. You close your eyes and fall, but not down, not up. It is a sideways sort of folding, as if the universe decided to turn its pages inside out. You land, not hard, not soft, more like you arrive. Your feet press against something damp. It squishes. It smells like wet mushrooms and history. You open your eyes. It is early Earth again, but different now. The air is thick with steam. The ocean has not quite decided where to stop. It sloshes around rocky hills like a toddler splashing in a too-small tub. And above it all, the moon, enormous. Not just big enormous. Pancake on your face enormous. It looms, pulsing faintly, much closer than you have ever seen it. Yep, Dot says, sounding proud. This was before it drifted away. Back then, you could see every crater, every scratch. It used to stir the tides like a spoon in soup. You gawk. That thing's gonna cause a tsunami. It might. Dot admits. Historians still argue whether Earth's rotation was faster because of the moon's gravitational grip, or if we just had a caffeine addiction back then. You tiptoe toward a tide pool the size of a living room. Inside, jelly-like creatures wiggle lazily. One of them hiccups bubbles. Another tries to eat its own tentacle and looks mildly embarrassed about it. Dot buzzes. That is a eukaryote. She is fancy, has compartments, probably pays taxes. You giggle. Then you notice something odd. Tiny glimmers inside one of the blobs. Red, gold, silver, sparkling like jewelry. Nope. Dot interrupts. That is me again. I got swept up in her nucleus, coiled into her chromosomes like a scarf. I became information. You watch the creature split in two, gently dividing like it is copying homework but wants to make it look original. That is mitosis. Dot whispers. Gives me goosebumps every time. The eukaryote floats away, humming. You are not sure if it is literal or just your imagination. You turn to Dot. So, you were DNA for a while. Dot replies. It did not last. I got sneezed out again. Story of my life. The ground rumbles. You brace. Oh, Dot mutters. I forgot about the lizards. The scene shifts. Trees explode upward like time-lapse footage on fast forward. Ferns unfold like umbrellas. The air smells like cinnamon and thunder. Then comes the sound. Low, thunderous. A dinosaur the size of your living room gallops past. Eyes wide, tail swishing like a freight train made of meat. It is followed by another, and another. Each one is arguing. I told you the red leaves are poison. Bellows one. Then why are they so delicious? Screams another. You flatten yourself behind a log. Dot cackles. Sauropods. Big lungs. Big opinions. You whisper. Are they seriously debating salad? Dot hums. What else did you expect from creatures with stomachs the size of small cars? A baby dinosaur waddles past, sniffling. It sneezes. You duck. Dot sighs. I was inside one of those. Got stuck in its bloodstream. Spent 3 weeks trying to avoid being turned into bone. A shadow passes overhead. You glance up. A feathered raptor glides through the mist. It is surprisingly elegant, until it flies into a tree and falls with a squawk. Grace is not genetic. Dot mutters. Then, everything goes quiet. Too quiet. The dinosaurs freeze. Heads turn. You feel it before you see it. A pressure in your chest. Dot's voice drops. Meteor incoming. You spin to look. There, on the horizon, a white streak cutting the sky. The end. The dinosaurs do not panic. They do not cry. They just blink. One turns to the other and says, "Told you we should have moved to Mars." Impact. You do not see it, but you feel the heat, the wind, the pause before the shockwave, and then silence. Ash falls like snow. You sit among the fern corpses.
The sky is ink.
Dot whispers, "I survived, buried in the bones. I floated in ash for centuries." And then,
Humans.
the scene dissolves. You are on the roof again. Your breath catches. Your heart thumps. The radio clicks softly. Dot says, "That was extinction. Ready for the next beginning." You nod. The wind swirls. A fire crackles. Someone's painting hands on a cave wall. The fire dances like it knows a secret. Shadows flicker against the stone, stretching and curling with every pop of sap. You are seated in a cave now, though you do not remember walking in. It smells of charcoal and sweat and something faintly herbal. The walls are alive with movement, not real movement, but drawings. Buffalo with wide eyes, stick figure hunters frozen mid-leap, spirals, suns, handprints, red ochre and ash, stories, immortalized in dust. Dot speaks softly through the glowing ember of the radio. "We are in the Upper Paleolithic period. Your ancestors used caves like this for sleep, ritual, maybe just warmth. Historians still argue whether they saw these walls as sacred portals or very dramatic to-do lists." You blink. The figure closest to you is small. A girl, maybe 10. She is holding a crude brush made from moss and chewed twigs. Her hair is matted, but her eyes shimmer, like she knows something you do not. Dot hums with nostalgia. That pigment she is grinding. I was part of it. Crushed hematite, iron oxide. I have been smeared into so many suns I have lost count. The girl dips the brush into the red paste and presses her hand to the wall. Leaves a perfect silhouette. Then another, and another. A whole dance of fingers stretching upward like they are reaching for something beyond the rock. She is marking time. Dot murmurs. Or memory. Maybe just saying, "I was here." You feel goosebumps rise along your arm. Something about this place. The hush, the heat, the raw humanness of it. Feels heavier than all the centuries before. Then you smell it. A strange brew simmering near the coals. It is thick, greenish, vaguely offensive to your modern palate. Dot snorts. Cave tea. Medicinal. A tall man leans over the pot, dropping in a bundle of herbs with practiced fingers. The steam curls like a ghost escaping politely. "I was in that tea," Dot says, "mixed with bark and mammoth fat. They drank me to banish fevers. Or spirits. Or boredom. Honestly, I was not sure." You inch closer. A child sneezes. The man passes him the brew. The child takes one sip, grimaces, and shuffles back into the shadows. A low drumming begins. Someone's beating a hollow log rhythmically. A chant follows. Simple, layered, ancient. Dot softens. This is how music started. Right here, in places like this. Long before pianos. Before notation. Just heartbeats turned outward. The girl from earlier reaches for your hand. You hesitate, then offer it. She presses it into a patch of damp clay. Pulls it away. A second later, she draws a tiny circle inside your palm print. A dot. "She drew me." Dot whispers, oddly touched. "That is new." Smoke rises again. You cough lightly. The scene begins to waver. Dot speaks faster now. "We need to go. The wolves are coming." Not scary, just very bitey. The world dissolves into sparks. You land with a jolt. This time, your head bumps something hard and rectangular. A table, covered in scrolls. Dot chirps. Mesopotamia, the land of firsts, first writing, first taxes, first back pain from farming. You are inside a sunlit mud brick room. Outside, goats complain with theatrical bleats. Inside, a man scowls over a clay tablet. You peer closer. The symbols look like chicken scratches having an identity crisis. Dot giggles. Cuneiform. Looks chaotic. But trust me, it is poetry compared to modern bureaucracy. A woman enters, holding a small dish. She gestures toward a child with swollen cheeks. Dot sighs. Toothache. Again. Guess what is inside that paste? You blink. Bingo. Crushed copper and fig resin. Deliciously metallic. The child whimpers. The woman applies the paste. The child whimpers louder. Dot winces. Did I mention I sting a bit? Outside, carts rattle along dusty roads. Priests chant in the ziggurat. Someone drops a jar. It shatters dramatically. You ask, were you in all of this? Dot hums. Bits and pieces. The bricks. The ink. The smoke. I have been written and burned and worshipped and sneezed into eternity. You lean against the wall, overwhelmed. The past feels like a crowded hallway. You are bumping elbows with every version of Dot that ever was. A child passes you, clutching a doll stuffed with wool. Dot murmurs. Even that. The dyes. I helped make color, make joy. The scene begins to blur. The hum of the radio grows louder. Back on the roof. You are colder now. The wind's picked up. Dot asks, do you know what all those moments had in common? You shake your head. They were all small, but they mattered. Just like me. You breathe deep. The air smells of rain and red clay, and you wait for the next shimmer. It starts with a glow from your nightstand. Not the radio this time, but the drawer handle. Pulses gently, like a heartbeat. Don't be alarmed. Dot says, well, maybe be a little alarmed, but mostly excited. That is not a handle anymore. You lean in. The handle stretches, shimmers, opens, into stars. And not just the poetic kind. Actual stars. Dust trails. The black between the black. You blink. And the drawer is a wormhole. You do not fall this time. You sort of slip, like stepping into a pocket that does not belong to your pants. You land with a squeak. Rubber, tiles, and something faintly citrus in the air. You are in a school science lab. Sort of. The labels are in cuneiform. The Bunsen burners are made of stone. A frog on the counter is wearing safety goggles. Dot hums. Oops. Blended a few timelines. Don't worry. He is not graded. You pick up a scroll labeled Lab Procedure. Make fire, not explosion. That seems promising. Come on. Dot says. The real story's through the back cabinet. You open it. And now you are in ancient Egypt. The transition is that fast. That smooth. One blink. And sand crunches under your feet. The sun blazes like it is mad at you. The pyramids shimmer in the distance, half built and humming with geometry. Dot sighs dreamily. Now this was an era. So many atoms. So many secrets. You follow a line of workers hauling blocks. They sing. Not words. Just syllables. But it helps. Dot explains. Historians still argue whether slaves built the pyramids or if it was a more complex labor economy. Either way, those chants. Rhythmic coordination. Early sound engineering. You duck into a shady hallway. Cool stone. Paintings on walls. And there, gold. So much gold it hurts to look. I was in that too. Dot murmurs. They crushed me into powder for eyeliner. Royalty loved to sparkle. Even while dying. You peer into a tomb. Inside, a painted sarcophagus. Jars with animal heads. A cat statue giving you side-eye. Pharaohs feared cats. Dot says casually. At least the ones who believed they were spies. Totally and proven. Of course. You stifle a laugh. The tomb smells like incense and regret. Someone enters. Priest. Maybe. He is muttering. He holds a bowl. Inside is a mixture of honey, garlic, and something black and sticky. Dot speaks quietly. They called it coal. It protected their eyes from sun and spirits. I was in it too, always near the eyes. Funny how atoms end up around vision. The priest dips a stick into the bowl and lines the eyes of a painted statue. For a moment, the statue looks back at you, not in a scary way, in a sad, Eternal kind of way. You ask. Do you remember all of this? Every place. Pauses. Not always. It is like being asleep inside someone else's dream. But when I am near it again, like now, I feel it, like déjà vu wrapped in dust. The tomb begins to shake. You whirl. Dust falls from the ceiling. The jars rattle. The cat statue winks. Time to go. Whispers. The hallway vanishes. You are back in the lab. The frog sighs. The scrolls burst into glitter. Then, another slip. Another jump. You land with a crunch. Not sand this time. Wigs. Dozens of powdered wigs. Welcome to Versailles. Says with a dramatic flourish. Where everything is expensive and emotionally unstable. You look around. Women in silk gowns fan themselves furiously. Men in velvet debate tax policies while sipping from tiny cups and whispering scandals. One gentleman flicks his wig and accidentally knocks over a harpsichord. Snorts. I was in the powder, mixed with crushed pearls and mercury. Fabulous, but toxic. Fashion is pain. You navigate through the glittery chaos. A woman sneezes. A man fans her. Another offers her a napkin that is somehow made of lace and disappointment. Mutters. I once lived in a corset. Never again. You duck into a salon. Inside, a group of philosophers argue passionately over cheese. Hums. This was the age of enlightenment. Big ideas. Terrible plumbing. On a table lies a silver comb. You touch it. A shock zaps your fingertip. Ow. Giggles. Static electricity. I was in that too. Clinging to fabrics. Whispering about electrons. Causing drama in powdered hair. Outside, the palace bells ring. Not for dinner. For revolution. You glance out the window. The mood is shifting. Time to slip again. Says, we have seen enough hair product for one lifetime. You close your eyes. Back on the roof. Night has deepened. Stars pulse. The moon is further away now. Wiser. Is quiet for a moment. Then, history's weird. You nod. So are you. Hums. Takes one to know one. It begins with coughing. Yours. The air around you is thick. Heavy. Tastes like metal and chimney soot and something vaguely like boiled cabbage. You are not on the roof anymore. You are in a city. Gray buildings stretch upward like giant brick thumbs. Everything smells like coal. People shuffle by in coats too thin for the cold. Their faces smudged with ash. Their eyes wide from too little sleep and too much factory bell. Sighs. Welcome to the Industrial Revolution. Not exactly spa day. But boy did I stay busy. You step aside as a cart rattles past, carrying barrels labeled soot. Premium. Someone nearby sneezes so violently their top hat flips. You glance at the factory behind you. Tall smokestacks belch into the sky, turning it from blue to memory. Murmurs. I was in all of it. The steam, the steel, the coal dust in a miner's lung. Atoms do not get to be choosy, you know. You duck inside the factory. The floor trembles under the weight of 100 machines. Gears grind. Sparks fly. A girl your age pulls levers with one hand and wipes sweat from her eye with the other. She is 12. Whispers. Works 14 hours. Got paid in lint last week. You grimace. That can't be right. Historians still argue. Says dryly. Whether child labor was a tragic necessity or a cruel convenience. Either way, they rarely argued with the foreman. You weave through the noise. The machines clunk like tired dinosaurs. One hisses at you. Another sneezes steam. Continues. I was the bolt in every axle. The pressure in every piston. The breath in every blackened lung. You pass a stack of papers labeled regulations to be ignored. Someone sneezes again. You duck instinctively. Chuckles. This was when I learned how heavy I could be. I was not just sparkle anymore. I was weight. You step back outside. The fog is thicker now. Except it is not fog. It is smog. A man hands you a pamphlet. New invention. Lungs made of tin. You hand it back. Politely. Come on. Says. Let us find something lighter. The world spins. You land in a parlor. Tea clinks. Papers rustle. The furniture has more lace than logic. A man with wild hair and eyes like lightning paces. Equations fill the chalkboard behind him. Recognize him. Whispers. That is Faraday. Changed everything. You blink. Faraday. Like electromagnetism. Exactly. I helped him. A little. I buzzed in his copper coil until it made sense. Faraday mutters something about induction and then trips over a footstool. You stifle a laugh. Hums proudly. I was part of discovery. Finally. Not just fuel or dust. Thought. The scene shifts. Now it is night again. A new kind of light glows overhead. Not fire. Not star. Bulbs. Electricity. You walk along a cobbled street lit by trembling halos. Says, "This is when I found my rhythm. I flowed through wires, danced in switches, became current." You peer into a window. A family sits around a radio, listening to a crackling broadcast. Whispers. Sometimes. I think I was in that too, riding sound waves, bringing voices across oceans. You pause. Were you ever happy? Is quiet. The street hums. A streetcar trundles past. A dog barks like it has opinions about jazz. Then says, softly, "I think atoms do not feel happy like you do. But I felt, noticed, useful." You nod. The lamplight flickers. Time tilts. And suddenly, sirens. You are in a city again. But everything is louder, harsher. Planes fly overhead. People run. Murmurs. This is the 1940s. A different kind of fire is coming. Flash. A tremble. You are inside a lab now. White coats. Steel counters. Charts. A man with rimmed glasses holds up something that glows faintly blue. He whispers. "It is ready." Dot's voice is barely a whisper. "They split me. Fission. For war. You understand." And suddenly, it is too much. The scenes. The smoke. The mushroom cloud rising somewhere far away. You whisper. "Why are you showing me this?" Dot's voice wavers. "Because you asked where I have been. And some truths are heavy. I was in the dust of Hiroshima. And in the hands that tried to rebuild it." Silence. A long one. Then a breeze. You are back on the roof. The stars look dimmer. Says, "Atoms remember. Even when you forget." You breathe. Long, deep. Let the weight settle. Hums gently. We are almost halfway. And now, we go deeper. Into minds. Into machines. Into the question every particle secretly asks. What comes next? The radio glows. And somewhere below, the wind carries the faintest sound of a city dreaming in static. The roof feels colder now. Damp with dew. The kind of cold that hums through your socks even though you are not wearing any. Dot's voice warms you. Faintly. "All right," it says. "Time for something with a bit more spin." Before you can ask. Your vision blurs sideways. Your ears pop. The shingles under you melt into gravel. Then glass. Then a floor so clean you wonder if it has been vacuumed by angels. You are standing in a long hallway lined with stainless steel. Somewhere far ahead. Someone sneezes into a lab coat. Chuckles. "Welcome to CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, home of the Large Hadron Collider and some very enthusiastic physicists." A sign on the wall reads, "Do not lick the quarks." You walk forward. There is a gentle hum beneath your feet, like the Earth itself is whispering secrets at 99,999% the speed of light. Says, "They built the biggest machine humans have ever constructed, just to find smaller things than they could see." You pass a group of scientists excitedly arguing over particle decay while someone else hands out muffins shaped like bosons. Sounds almost giddy. I have been smashed here. Repeatedly. Think of it as atomic pinball. You peek into a room where two beams are colliding. Sparks. Data. Diagrams. The scent of ozone and optimism. They found the Higgs boson here. Whispers reverently. The so-called God particle. Historians still argue whether that name was poetic or just poorly translated marketing. You nod slowly. The energy in this place is palpable. Literally. Your hair keeps lifting off your arms. Dot murmurs. This is the frontier. Every loop, every string, every spin. It all hums with the same question. What are we really made of? You press your hand to the wall. Feel it vibrate slightly, like it is breathing. And then something odd happens. You are pulled. Again. But not to the past. To the other. The in-between. Suddenly. You are floating. No up, no down. Particles drift like snowflakes. Equations hover like jellyfish. This, Dot says, almost reverently, is quantum space. No one knows what is going on here. Even the particles are not sure. A photon blinks past you, changes direction, and winks. You raise your eyebrow. Dot snorts. Yeah, that one's always showing off. You float through what looks like a probability cloud. Inside, cats flicker in and out of existence. Half sandwiches hover beside Schrodinger's toaster. Quantum mechanics. Dot explains, where observation changes reality and logic takes a nap. You pass two particles entangled across light years. One spins, the other copies. Perfectly, instantly, spooky action at a distance. Dot whispers. Einstein hated that phrase, probably still does. You drift into a loop of string. It vibrates, tone plays, deep, pure. You feel it in your teeth. This, Dot says, might be it, the root note of everything. Historians do not argue about this one. Yet, mostly because string theory has not been proven, or disproven. It is like jazz for physicists. You smile. A string zips past you wearing sunglasses. And just as you start to feel comfortable floating in nothing, you fall, hard, onto sand, bright, hot, crunchy. You are on a beach, but not a postcard beach. This one is littered with bottles, bags, and something that might have once been a rubber duck. Dot's tone changes. This is today, your world, and I am still here. Inside all this, you walk along the shore, waves lap at your ankles. A gull shrieks overhead. Annoyed by your philosophical mood, you kick a plastic cup. Dot winces. Ow. You pause. Wait, you are in the trash. Dot sighs. Plastic is made of polymers. Polymers are chains. Chains of me. Atoms. I am in the oceans now. Floating. Breaking. Hiding in fish. You swallow. The sea stretches endlessly. A bottle cap floats past. Dot whispers. Atoms do not choose where they go, but people can. Then, in a lighter tone. Also, fun fact, bananas are radioactive. Tiny bit. Natural potassium. I was in one once. Delicious. You smile. Just a little. You have really been everywhere. Dot hums. Even in tears. Raindrops. Memory. But the question still remains. Where do I belong? You crouch and scoop up a handful of wet sand. Hold it in your palm. Watch the grains fall. Dot says quietly, maybe it is not about belonging to a place. Maybe it is about being part of a pattern. The ocean roars. The clouds stretch. And then the world flickers. You are back on the roof. Again. But something's changed. You feel heavier. Not with burden. With knowledge. Dot's hum is softer now. Ready for the heart. You nod. The stars lean in to listen. The roof does not shift this time. It simply exhales. The shingles soften beneath you like moss remembering spring. The wind slows. Even the stars blink slower. And Dot's voice. It is not just sound anymore. It is warmth. This is where it gets personal. Dot murmurs. We are going inside. You blink. Inside where? A pulse. A shimmer. Then darkness. Not the scary kind. The soft kind. Velvet. Like being wrapped in a woolen blanket inside your own thoughts. Then, light, red, gold, moving. Lube-dub. You are inside a body. A literal body. Don't worry, Dot says. We are not breaking any rules. Just visiting. Think of it as respectful trespassing. You are floating along a blood vessel. The walls pulse around you in a steady rhythm. Lube-dub. Lube-dub. This is a heart, Dot says, almost whispering. Human. Alive. Very much in use. I have been in thousands. But this one feels different. You drift past red blood cells bouncing like jelly beans at a rave. One nods at you before tumbling into a capillary. A white blood cell scoots by carrying a clipboard. Dot chuckles. Immune patrol. He is a little dramatic. You pass into an atrium, then swirl through a valve that sounds suspiciously like a squeaky swing set. Inside here, Dot says, I have felt love, rage, loss, sometimes all at once. You pause. How can you feel those things? Dot hums gently, because when you move through someone's bloodstream, you begin to understand them. The chemistry is not just data. It is mood, memory, momentum. You swirl upward into a vein that leads straight to the lungs. Air rushes in. Oxygen molecules cheer like they are at a football match. Dot whoops. That is me again. The little breath between sighs. You cling to one of the oxygen atoms as it binds, detaches, rebinds. The rhythm is hypnotic. This, Dot whispers, is where I learned what it means to matter. You glance around. Cells divide. Hormones carry notes between organs like gossiping, pigeons. Every moment is alive. You enter the brain, and suddenly, thought, not yours, someone else's. A memory, a fragment, a child reaching for a parent's hand, a goodbye whispered at an airport, a laugh shared over noodles. Dot does not speak. You feel it, though, the ache, the connection, the absurd miracle of it all. This, you say softly, is where you belong. Dot hesitates. Maybe, but I am not just here. I am everywhere, in the grief and the grit, the breath and the bruise. The scene shifts. Now you are inside a tear. It slides down a cheek. Warm, salty, real. Dot says, that is me, too. In sadness, in healing, in the space between. You glide back through the body, passing the heart again. It beats slower now, sleepier, like it is listening. You emerge, back on the roof, but not alone. Dot is there, not in the radio, not in the wind, but beside you, a shimmer, a swirl, like light forgot how to be solid. You reach out, not to touch, just to acknowledge. Dot speaks. I think I understand now. I am not lost. I am shared. You smile. You always were. The stars above do not flicker. They beam. Steady. Sure. Dot adds. I have been part of stories. Bloodlines. Bananas. And now, this. You lean back. The roof is warm. Dot fades slightly. Not gone. Just less distinct. Like a scent that lingers. The night deepens. The atom has found a home. Not a place. Person. You. It starts again with silence. But not the cold kind. This one is full. Rich. Like velvet stretched across the cosmos. You lie still on the roof. Radio quiet now. But Dot's presence still buzzing faintly just behind your ears. Like an idea waiting to be spoken. I have one more gift. Dot says. Before we settle. You blink. More history. Dot hums. More you. The sky above ripples. Stars lean closer. The moon gives a quiet nod, and suddenly, the air smells like cinnamon, static, and something that might be old pencils. You sit up. The city is gone. Trees surround you now. Not just any trees. Massive, tangled things with roots that write poetry in dirt. Fireflies hover in equations. The sky pulses between constellations. You are not on Earth. At least, not the one you left. Dot whispers. This is memory space. The bridge between your story and mine. We are going stargazing. You walk forward. The ground beneath your feet crackles with soft light. Like each step is writing its own timeline. A blanket appears. You sit. The grass hums. The sky opens. Dot speaks slowly. See that bright one? That is Vega. Burned blue. Sang to sailors. I was there once. In someone's compass needle. You spot another. Sirius. Dot says. So bright it has stories in every culture. Egyptians thought it brought the floods. Australians called it a fire. Greeks thought it barked. You squint. Did it? Dot snickers. Only when bored. You lie back. The stars swirl slowly. not in chaos, but like dancers who know exactly where to place their feet. Dot continues. Humans always looked up, asked questions, drew bears and hunters and spoons in the sky. Sometimes you got it wildly wrong, but it was charming. A comet streaks past. Behind it, a trail of sparkling particles. Dot sighs. I have been in comets, too. Frozen, quiet, waiting. You whisper, is there anywhere you have not been? Dot pauses. There was one place. The air shifts. You are back in your room. But it is not the same. The posters glow faintly. Your books hum. The mirror ripples. Dot says, until tonight, I had never been remembered. You turn toward the mirror. Your reflection blinks, then smiles. Dot chuckles. That is not you. That is me, borrowing a shape. In the mirror stands a figure made of shimmer and shadow. Starlight woven with breath. Tilts its head. I have been part of heroes and villains, ink and ash, but never someone who listened this long. You stand, approach the mirror, touch the surface. It is warm. Dot speaks through it. Thank you. You swallow. Words feel too clumsy, so you just nod. Outside, the roof waits. The sky waits. You return to the stars. Dot settles beside you again. Would you like to hear one of your stories now? You blink. Mine. Dot hums. I have watched your atoms, too. Your thoughts. Your little bravery moments. You are made of second chances and stubborn kindness. You look at your hand. Curl your fingers. Dot adds. You have been hurt, lost, found. Like me. That is why I stayed. A shooting star cuts the sky. Dot whispers. Make a wish. You do not. You do not need to, because you realize you already made it. When you said yes, when you listened, the wind shifts, carries the smell of old paper, wet earth, and rain about to fall. Dot leans in closer. When stars die, they scatter. When stories end, they echo. But when two lost things meet, you finish. They become home. The stars blink in agreement. It begins with a heartbeat, not your own. Not Dot's, but the Earth's. The roof disappears beneath you, not all at once, but like a dream you step out of without fully waking. And now you are standing barefoot in the middle of a field. Morning dew clings to your ankles. The grass is gold-tipped, whispering secrets you can't quite hear. Dot speaks softly. We have seen the beginning, the stars, the blood. Now let us meet the part of the story most people skip. You frown. What part is that? Dot sighs. The ones who did not leave names behind, but left me ahead. Smoke curls lazily from a small fire. You approach. A woman sits cross-legged beside it, pounding something into a paste with a smooth stone. Her skin is sun-browned, her hair twisted into simple braids. She hums. Not a song. Pattern. Like memory without melody. Dot says, this is your great many times over grandmother. She does not know math, but she knows how to split a reed without breaking it. She knows which berries lie and which ones sing. You watch the woman lift the paste and smear it onto a rough strip of bark. She presses it gently against a child's scraped knee. The child flinches, then sighs. I was in that. Dot whispers. The bomb, the bark, the breath between them. The woman lifts her eyes. She sees you. You freeze. But she only smiles, not surprised, like she has always known someone would be watching. Dot adds. She does not need a telescope to know the sky matters. Doesn't need a microscope to know the smallest things can heal. The child runs off, chasing a beetle that may or may not be pretending to be a god. You sit beside the woman. She offers you water from a carved gourd. It tastes like roots and sun and something faintly spicy. Dot murmurs. Even before science. I was here, in gestures, in guesswork, in the sacred wrong turns that led to discovery. The fire crackles. You notice something in the smoke. Shapes, spirals. She is telling stories. Dot says, with ash, with rhythm. Every flicker is a sentence. You squint. For a second, you swear you see your own handprint drift through the smoke. She imagined you. Dot whispers. Didn't know your name, but she hoped. that someone like you would exist, would care. The fire pops. The woman stands, walks toward a patch of soil. She kneels, plants a seed. Dot says, that is the beginning of agriculture. A guess, a risk, a tiny rebellion against hunger. The scene fades. The seed grows faster than logic allows. Becomes a field, then a farm, then cities, markets, temples, scribes. Dot sighs. The world started keeping records and forgetting feelings. You are in a marketplace now, loud, colorful, smelly in 6 distinct ways. Someone yells about fish. Someone else argues with a goat. You duck into a stall. A woman offers you bread still warm from a stone oven. Dot says, I was in the yeast, the flour, the salt that traveled 10 days by foot. You eat. The bread tastes ancient and kind. You turn a corner and almost collide with a boy carrying scrolls. He drops them. You help gather. One scroll unrolls. It is covered in tiny letters shaped like wind and water. Dot hums. Language. That was new, and old, and forever. You glance up. See a man chiseling symbols into stone. Dot says, they wanted to make things last, so they carved truth into rock. Even if the truth was mostly taxes. The scene swirls. Time loops. You are standing at the edge of a cliff. Below, ships. Above, stars. Dot speaks gently. We crossed oceans. Got lost. Got found. I have been in every compass. Every sail. Every tear shed over maps. You feel it now. The thread. How everything is connected. Not by lines, but by intention. Dot whispers. Humans built everything trying to return to what they already had. You blink. You are back on the roof. A breeze ruffles your hair. The air smells like burnt bread and fresh ink. Dot says, you have seen the footprints, felt the echoes, ready to leave one of your own. You glance at your hands, wiggle your fingers. They feel full of memory, meaning. The stars above shift slightly, and for the first time all night, you do not feel small. You feel placed. The roof stretches out beneath you like a question. Not sharp, just patient. The kind that lingers after the teacher's gone home. The city below sighs. A siren wails distantly. Melancholy, but not urgent. You are still. The radio glows faintly. Dot hums. Time for ink, it says. And aching teeth. You blink once, and you are there. Heat, sand, sweat pooling in your elbows. You are in Mesopotamia again, but now deeper inside it. The marketplace is busier, the tablets heavier. Everyone's either shouting or squinting at clay. Dot chuckles. This part of history was sponsored by patience, sore wrists, and the smell of goats. A boy runs past you with a basket full of reeds. He trips, flails, lands in a puff of dust. Nobody reacts. Apparently, it is a daily event. You follow the smell of copper and burnt honey. Enter a small shop where a woman is grinding something green in a bowl. Her teeth are stained. Her hands shake slightly. Dot whispers. Dentistry. The very first attempts. I was in their pastes, their poultices, their prayers. The woman calls in a patient. A man whose cheek is swollen like it is holding a secret. He groans, sits, and opens wide. The woman uses a sharp stick dipped in the green mush. He winces. She hums. Dot sighs. Historians still argue whether this helped or just distracted. Either way, I stung like betrayal. You watch as she presses a warm stone to his jaw, then pours him something steaming in a tiny cup. It smells like pain and licorice. I was there too. Dot murmurs. Inside the attempt. The hope. The tiny belief that a leaf could stop a storm. You step outside. The heat lifts slightly. The shadows are longer now, stretching toward a ziggurat etched in sunburnt light. Inside, scribes scribble. A man dictates while adjusting his beard with dramatic flair. Dot laughs. This one's writing laws. Very firm on goat disputes. Very confused about rivers. You approach the clay tablets. The symbols wiggle slightly, like they are trying to escape. Dot says, language was still new. They were not just writing facts. They were trying to pin down reality. I was in the ink, the clay, the silence between syllables. A boy sneezes behind you. A goat faints in response. Classic. Mutters. The market hums louder now. Time folds. You blink. And you are in a Greek temple. Cool marble underfoot. Incense hanging like fog. Statues gaze down with half-lidded boredom. A woman in white robes dips a brush into a bowl. Paints a delicate red curve onto a vase. Hums. That pigment. Me again. Crushed cinnabar. Mercury and mythology. You peer closer. The vase shows a scene. A woman offering a flower to a lion. The lion is crying. Says, art was memory's disguise. It let grief wear color. A philosopher shuffles by, muttering about atoms. Snorts. Democritus. Thought everything was made of indivisible particles. He was not wrong. Just early. You pass a courtyard where children recite poetry. One hiccups midline and gets applauded. Murmurs. I was in the breath that carried those verses. In the chalk on the wall. In the echo. Another blink. Now you are in Rome. Bustling. Loud. Marble and muscle everywhere. A senator gestures dramatically about grain taxes while a chicken steals his sandwich. You duck into a bathhouse. The steam is intense. A man lies on a slab while another applies a thick paste to his shoulders. Whispers. A blend of clay, oil, and crushed lavender. I was in the healing, in the luxury, in the pretend peace. Outside, chariots clatter by. Children chase each other with sticks shaped like swords. You pause. You ask, did they know that you were with them? Answers slowly, no, but they felt me, in the aches that faded, in the wounds that did not reopen, in the little moments when things worked. You nod. Time shifts again. Now you are in a monastery, quiet, warm with candlelight. A monk grinds ink. His fingers are stained. He copies a single line onto a scroll. Carefully, reverently. Murmurs. Even in solitude, I was shared. He writes, to learn is to become. The candle flickers. The ink dries. Says, I have been in the words. The scratches. The effort. You breathe in. Smell wax. Dust. And the hush of devotion. And then, back on the roof. A breeze brushes your cheek. Somewhere a window closes gently. Hums. I have been many things. But here, with you, I have finally been heard. You rest your head on your arms. The stars feel closer now. And you wonder, how many atoms in your own body carry stories like these? The air is different tonight. Heavy, but not with rain. With memory. You lie still. The radios glow soft against your cheek. Pulses, not like a machine, but like something alive. Breathing, dreaming. Does not speak right away. It just waits, until you whisper, what is next? And then, Egypt again. But not sand and sun this time. Shade, dust, cool limestone beneath your feet. You are deep underground. A narrow tunnel stretches ahead. Torchlight flickering on walls painted with gods. Jackals, stars, boats. Says, we are in a tomb. Not one for kings. This one's quieter. Forgotten. You move slowly. The air tastes of ash and old perfume. In the corner sits a golden jar. Dented. Half buried. Hums. I was in that jar. In the oil once poured over a lover's hair. In the air when grief was new and could not find the words. You kneel beside it. Your fingers trace its surface. A symbol. An open eye. Watching. Murmurs. They feared what came after. But they feared being forgotten more. You pass into another chamber. No treasure. Just bones. Arranged gently. With care. Says, this one was a scribe. His hands held ink. Not swords. He asked to be buried with his favorite reed, pen. You spot it. A slender stick. Worn smooth. Still faintly stained at the tip. Adds. I was in the ink. And in the poem he never finished. Time folds. Now you are in a grander tomb. Torches flare. Gold glints. Servants whisper. Priest chants. A cat hisses and is immediately worshipped. Snickers. Historians still argue whether the Egyptians revered cats as divine or just could not say no to a furry. Glare. You step into the burial chamber. At the center, a sarcophagus. Massive. Ornate. You ask, were you in the pharaoh too? Pauses. Once. In his breath, his ring, his fear. You press your hand against the stone. It is cold, but hums faintly. Whispers. Atoms do not judge. We just witness. The tomb begins to shake. You turn. Sand pours from cracks. The air thickens. Says, time to go. You are not cursed. Just borrowed. A blink. And you are somewhere colder. Stone buildings. Glistening streets. Rain tapping on windows. You are in London. 1665. Says, plague year. You step carefully past shutter doors marked with red excess. The air is sour. Still, a woman carries a bundle. It whimpers. You look away. Dot's voice is quiet. I was in the ink they used to write names on headstones. In the candle wax that melted during last rites. You pass a man scribbling in a journal by candlelight. His eyes are bloodshot. His hands tremble. Says, that is Pepys, famous diarist, obsessed with cheese and catastrophe. You glance over his shoulder. He writes, buried my cheese in the garden. The fire comes. You blink. Smoke curls in the sky. Murmurs, great fire of London. Cleared the plague, mostly, but took everything else with it. You walk through the smoke. Ash coats your hair, your eyelashes, and yet, flowers bloom by the riverbank. Hums. After every ending, something begins. Another shift. Now you are in a quiet library. Books line the walls. A single candle burns low. A woman reads aloud. A child leans on her arm. Whispers. That book is ink. Wood pulp. Glue. All made of me. But what matters is what the child remembers. The woman closes the book. The child asks, was it true? She smiles. Does it matter? You feel tears. Not yours. Theirs. Says, grief lives in atoms too. And wonder. Outside. Bells ring. Not for warning. For celebration. You step outside into the streets of Paris. Chirps. Revolution time. Everyone's angry and overdressed. You duck as a baguette flies past your head. Someone yells about taxes. Someone else yells about cake. Chuckles. I was in the ink on the pamphlets, the powder in the wigs, the passion in the speeches. You ask, were you in the guillotine? Does not answer, just hums. You walk on. The sky cracks with lightning. And suddenly, stillness. You are in a candlelit room. A woman dips a quill, writes, her fingers smudged with ash and ink. Murmurs. Mary Shelley, writing Frankenstein. Alone, cold, creating something new from old parts. Just like me. You watch her breathe, hesitate, then continue. The candle flutters. The page curls. Says, she gave birth to an idea. A question. What makes us alive? You whisper. Do you know? Exhales. I am trying to. Back to the roof. Wind cool on your face. You feel different. Like a page that has been written on. The sky is darker now. But it does not feel empty. You do not feel the roof anymore. Not because it is gone. But because you have become part of it. Part of the night. Part of the listening. Dot's voice arrives not through the radio now, but through the air. It weaves between the hairs on your arms, between stars, between thoughts. We have crossed empires. Murmurs, walked in bones and ink. Time to enter the age of wires. Your vision blinks. Suddenly, you are in a workshop. Oil lamps hang from hooks. A man with wild hair and a wilder mustache is arguing with pigeons. Whispers, Tesla. Tower of Brilliance, Pocket of Chaos. The man points to a diagram covered in spirals and lightning bolts. The pigeons look unimpressed. Hums. I flowed through his coils, danced in arcs of violet light. He called me current. But I was more than that. I was hope. You step around a machine humming with power. Your fingertips buzz just standing near it. The man throws a switch. Sparks burst. One of the pigeons faints. Adds. Historians still argue whether Tesla was mad or just too early. I say, both. The room spins. Now you are in a basement, dimly lit. The walls lined with blinking lights and enormous computers that look like angry refrigerators. A woman types furiously on a clattering keyboard. She wipes her brow, sips stale coffee, and mutters something about bugs. Chuckles. This is Grace Hopper, Navy Rear Admiral, computer pioneer, literal bug finder. You glance down. There is an actual moth taped to her logbook. She found it in a relay. Whispers. Logged it. Smiled. Then kept working. The room smells like ozone and determination. A screen flashes green letters. Hello, world. You breathe in. Says. That line. I helped carry it. From machine to mind. Another shift. You are now inside a living room. Carpeted. Boxy TV humming softly. A child holds a remote control like it is a sacred relic. Murmurs. Television. Radio. Satellites. I have been in every pixel. Every wave. I helped turn bedtime stories into signals. The screen flickers. Moon landing. Live from space. The family gasps. A man wipes his glasses. A woman clutches her child's hand. Whispers. I was in the broadcast. And in the boot print on lunar dust. You blink again. Now you are floating above Earth. Silent. Spinning. The planet glows beneath you like a marble made of secrets. Says. We built machines to watch ourselves. From above. From within. And sometimes, we forgot to look with wonder. You watch satellites blink as they pass. One hums softly. I am in that. 2. Murmurs. Bouncing signals. Watching weather. Whispering coordinates. A comet flashes nearby. You wave. Tips its icy tail in reply. Then, another blink. A hospital. Beeping monitors. A baby cries. A nurse smiles. Says. I am in the oxygen in that room. The steel in the bed. The circuits in the monitor. The tears in her eyes. You pause. The nurse. Replies. No. The mother. You turn. A woman holds her newborn. Her fingers tremble. But her smile does not. Dot's voice is softer now. Atoms do not feel pride. But sometimes, I come close. You step outside. The sky is purple. The streetlights buzz. You walk past a row of houses. In one, someone sings. In another, someone argues. Somewhere, a cat yowls in existential protest. Sighs. The modern world, full of light, full of loneliness, but also full of choice. You reach a park. A girl sits alone on a bench, reading. Her book glows faintly, not from magic, from screen light. Says. I am in her e-reader, and in the story, and in the synapse that fires when she gasps at the twist. You smile. Sit beside her. She does not look up, but she shifts, just enough to share the space. Adds. That is what we are all doing. Sharing space, breath, time. You, me. You lean back. The stars are out again. And for the first time in ages, they do not feel far away. They feel familiar. Hums gently. You ready for what comes after the wires. You nod, and the air shimmers. The stars blink, then dissolve. You feel the roof evaporate beneath you, not violently, but with grace, like a curtain drawn at the end of a very good play. And now you are falling upward, into a space made of silence, but not the empty kind. This one is full of expectation. Whispers. We are entering the edge, the moment where memory and maybe trade hands. You land standing, not on ground, on glass, infinite, reflecting 1,000 versions of yourself, each blinking at slightly different times, before you can ask. Says. This is the beginning of the synthetic age. You turn. Cities hover. Neon veins pulse in the sky. Screens the size of cathedrals flicker with faces made of pixels and questions. Hums. We built intelligence that mimics thought. Minds inside machines. Circuits with dreams. And still, No one knows what we are chasing. A drone floats by offering kombucha. You politely decline. It sulks off. You walk down a translucent path where ideas walk without bodies. One mutters Shakespeare in reverse. Another plays chess with itself and loses. Size. I have been in code. In ones and zeros. I have helped predict weather and helped someone find their keys. I have been used to sell shampoo and simulate stars. You pause beside a sculpture shaped like a brain. Built from light. Pulses gently. In time with your breath. Whispers. Historians still argue whether this counts as consciousness. Whether synthetic thoughts are real. Or just very good impressions of being lonely. You stare into the lights. One flickers. Then shows your face. Then someone else's. Then no one's. You step back. A group of children passes. None older than 10. Each wears goggles that shimmer like dragonfly wings. They are in a world of code. Murmurs. But I am in there too. As weight. As spark. As metaphor. One child giggles. Another gasps. A third lifts their goggles and blinks at you. They smile. You smile back. Then the world blinks. And you are inside a tiny room. White walls. A hum like a distant freezer. A figure sits across from you. Older. Quiet. Their hand trembles slightly. Says, "This is the future of care." You watch as the figure tries to remember something. Anything. A nurse enters. Offers a photo. It is of the figure as a child. Holding a toy made of string and wood. Their eyes brighten. Whispers. I am in the synapse that fired. In the molecule that bridged the gap. You lean closer. The figure looks at you. You do not know them, but maybe you do. They reach out. You take their hand. And something passes between you. Not words. Not memories. Just presence. Hums gently. This is what it means to remain. Time shifts again. You are in a lab. Clean. Hushed. Glowing softly. A scientist peers into a microscope. Their eyes widen. They just watched a neuron fire in real time. Says, and named it after a fruit. You chuckle. A 3D printer hums in the corner, slowly building a synthetic heart. Each pulse of plastic is precise. I am in that, too. Says, in the carbon, the blueprint, the hope. You step out of the lab. The hallway outside is lined with projections. Trees, oceans, animals. Says, simulated ecosystems. Efforts to bring back what was lost. I have been in extinct things. I carry their patterns. You glance at one projection. A forest of enormous ferns and strange birds. One bird looks like it is wearing a tiny crown. Laughs. That one's new. Evolution has a sense of humor. You keep walking. The hallway narrows. The light dims. And you are suddenly standing at a grave. Simple. No name. Just a circle etched into stone. Murmurs. I have been in every burial. Every goodbye. And every bloom that grew after. A single flower sprouts nearby. Adds. Even death recycles. You bend down. Touch the flower. It glows briefly beneath your fingers. A breeze lifts. Carries the scent of salt and static. Says, almost there. You stand. Look up. The stars return. But they are not above you. They are in you. And for the first time, you understand. You are made of stories, and stardust, and second chances. This time, you do not fall. You unfold, like paper in water, like breath at the edge of sleep. And when your eyes open, you are standing in the middle of a city. But it is not quite now, not quite future, not quite anywhere on any map. Whispers. This place does not exist, but it could. It is stitched together from every place I have ever been. A quilt of moments, patchwork of time. The street beneath you glows faintly, not from electricity, but from memory. Each step you take lights up old echoes, footprints layered beneath your own. Ahead, a man sells books, real ones, with spines, with pages that whisper when touched. A sign above reads, rewritten histories. Nothing is fixed. Hums. We are in a city of what-ifs. Every choice ever made. every atom ever placed. A bus rolls past with no driver, no wheels, no sound, just passengers reading quietly, their thoughts projected above their heads like subtitles. You read one. Did I love him or the idea of him? Dot laughs. This is a place where questions do not need answers to exist. You walk past a bakery. The smell is impossible. Both your grandmother's cookies and fresh rain on stone. A woman waves. She looks like someone you dreamed once. A child runs past holding a device shaped like a snowflake. It whispers weather patterns in poetry. Dot says, I helped build all this. Every beam, every bite. I was the seed in the idea, the pause in the blueprint. You enter a park where trees hum slightly. Each one sings a different memory. You pass a willow whispering lullabies in 8 languages. Under it, 2 old women play chess. One is winning, the other is letting her. Dot murmurs. Some atoms hold spite, others, compassion. You walk onward. The sky is streaked with soft colors. Green, violet, gold. Drones paint shapes into clouds. Children make wishes on them. Dot says, even machines imagine now. You step into a gallery. Paintings blink. Sculptures shift. One display simply holds a mirror. You look in and see yourself, but younger, laughing, holding a jar. Fireflies inside. Dot murmurs. That night, the one you forgot. I did not. You blink. The jar fades. The room tilts. You are in a classroom now. Empty, but not abandoned. Desks arranged in gentle spirals. A chalkboard filled with symbols. Dot says, they used to teach facts. Now they teach wonder. A soft voice behind you asks, want to play a game? You turn. A teenager sits cross-legged on the floor, arranging atoms like puzzle pieces. Dot giggles. This version of me's trying to build a black hole with kindness. Don't worry. It is mostly safe. You kneel. Watch them work. The pieces click together in silence. One glows blue. Another hums. You ask, what happens when it is finished? They smile. We understand something new. You stand again. Walk to the window. Outside, a river of light. People floating on it like leaves. No boats. No oars. Just movement. Dot whispers. They are riding decisions. That is what rivers are. Really. The city fades. Now you are in a lab. But not just one lab. All of them, collapsing into one moment. One breath. You see every experiment. Every test. Every beautiful failure. Dot says, I have been in the ambition. In the doubt. In the second guess that led to the right answer. The walls shift again. You are back on the roof. But this time, someone sits beside you. A version of you. Older. Not ancient. Not future. Just wiser. They smile. Hand you something. It is the radio. Still glowing. Still humming. Dot speaks again. Not from the device. From everywhere. You have seen what I have been. What I have touched. But now I ask, what will you make me next? You stare at the radio. The stars. Your hands. Every atom in your body. Every memory. Every possibility. Dot adds, I have been part of kings and crumbs. Tears and tide pools. But never someone who chose me. You speak softly. Then let us begin. The wind shifts. Not colder. Just new. A beginning again. The radio hums. Not loud. Just steady. Like a heart that is decided to stay quiet for a while. Because it finally feels safe. You hold it in both hands. And for a moment, it does not feel like a machine. Feels like a key. Dot whispers. There is one last ride. You nod. You do not even need to speak anymore. Dot knows. Dot is speaking you now. In a way, you breathe in, and the world shifts. Not a blink, not a flash, just change. You are inside a room. Circular. No corners. The walls are glass, but they do not reflect you. Instead, they show others. Other yous. One is painting on a rooftop. One is hugging someone in a field of sunflowers. One is crying in a grocery aisle. Dot says, every version of you holds me. Past you. Future you. Even the one who did not know how to finish this story. You walk along the wall, watch yourself grow, shrink, laugh, hide, all of it real. Dot continues. Atoms remember, not always in words, sometimes in weight, in scars, in the way you flinch when the toast burns too loud. You stop. There. One version of you sits completely still, eyes closed, breathing slow. Dot hums. That one learned how to listen. The image fades. You are outside again. In a garden. Not one you know, but one that feels familiar anyway. Stone paths, lavender bushes, a bench made of books. Someone is planting. A child, barefoot, covered in dirt, grinning. You kneel beside them. They hand you a seed. Dot says, I have been in every seed, every root, every leaf that turned toward the sun out of instinct, not instruction. You press the seed into the soil. The earth accepts it without question. The child looks up. Will it grow? You answer, it already has. They smile, then disappear. Now you are standing in front of a mirror again. But this one reflects everything. The stars, the books, the ancient lava, the powdered wig, the bread shared in silence, the jar of pigment pressed to cave wall. Dot says, every piece you have seen, every story I have been in, it all became part of you. You watch your reflection smile, not because everything made sense, but because everything mattered. The world dissolves again, this time into sky, endless, vast, not empty, but inviting. Dot's voice shifts. It is not inside your head now. It is around you, like weather. I have scattered across galaxies. I have been lost in lungs, forgotten in flame, caught in grief, and wonder, and pudding. You laugh. Just once. Dot adds. And now, I want to be still, with you, just for a while. You lie back. The stars above are quiet. Then, one moves. A shooting star. No, just an atom. One atom. Your atom. Dot. It floats down. Soft as ash. Bright as forgiveness. Lands in your palm. Warm. You do not close your hand. You just hold it. Dot whispers. Thank you. The wind answers. A gentle hush. The sky leans in. And you whisper back. You are home. The roof feels different now. Not softer. Not warmer. Just yours. You lie still. The night folding itself around you like a story finally content to rest on its last page. And Dot, well, Dot no longer needs to hum. It is not silence. It is presence. Then, gently, Dot returns. Not urgent, just curious. There is one more thing. It says, I want to show you a moment most people forget. Before you can ask, the world flickers, not like a broken bulb, more like a shy candle remembering how to burn. You are standing in a kitchen, small, cluttered, loved. A person stands at the stove, humming off key. They wear mismatched socks. Their hair is a constellation of chaos. Dot whispers, this is not history. This is not science. This is life. The kettle whistles. The person pours water over tea leaves. Not from a bag, from a jar. You recognize the smell. Dot says, that chamomile, grown in their window box, with me inside every petal. They sit, wrap their hands around the mug. Then, they cry, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears over something too vague to name but too heavy to ignore. Dot murmurs, I have been in that, too. The salt, the shake, the breath that follows when they finally exhale. You step closer. The person does not see you. They just keep breathing. On the table, a notebook, open to a page with a doodle, a spiral, a sun, a tiny stick figure holding hands with a dot. You smile. Dot hums. Sometimes, humans try to forget, but your atoms remember. I do. The scene folds again. You are in a subway now. A boy gives up his seat for an elderly woman. She smiles like no one's done that for her in decades. Dot whispers, I was in his decision, in her gratitude, in the space between their eyes. Back on the street. Rain falls. Not hard, just insistently. A stranger lifts their umbrella to share with someone else. Dot says, this, right here, this is where I feel most at home. Not in the vastness, not in the cataclysms, but in the tiny, the almost invisible. You walk along the sidewalk, pass a cafe. A man proposes to another man using a ring hidden inside a cinnamon roll. The staff applauds. The cinnamon roll is unharmed. Dot giggles. Atoms do not cry, but if I could. Another blink. A hospital hallway. A girl draws on the wall in crayon. A nurse does not stop her. Instead, she adds a sun beside it. Dot whispers, I have lived in crayons, and walls, and people who make space. Then the air changes again. You are at a funeral. Simple, honest. One person stands. Tells a story about how the deceased once rescued a moth from drowning in a wine glass. Everyone laughs. Dot says, you are never remembered for being vast. You are remembered for the moments you were kind. The wind carries the scent of flowers and old books. You close your eyes. Dot speaks softly now. I have been part of battles, revolutions, inventions, but the only things that ever echoed were the things built with care. Back on the roof, the stars are listening again. And this time, so are you. Dot says, everything you are is built from everything you have touched, and every version of me you have held. You breathe in, feel your chest rise, your blood flow, your thoughts settle. Dot finishes. You do not need to chase meaning. You are already made of it. You lie there, not drifting, not grounded, just whole. The radio, still warm in your hand, does not hum anymore. It simply rests, a quiet kind of companionship. Dot does not speak, not right away. It is listening now, letting the night breathe first, and then, like the softest ripple across still water. Want to see where I am now? You nod, or maybe you just think the word yes. The sky bends, the stars blur, and suddenly, you are small again. Not emotionally, physically. You are the size of a speck, a whisper. You drift between eyelashes, between fibers of fabric. Dot chuckles. Don't scream, but we are about to go cellular. The world zooms. You rush through a nostril, undignified, past cilia, past humidity, past a million tiny biological miracles you never think about. You dive into a bloodstream, and there, Dot, in everything, Dot says, that red blood cell, me, that white one, also me, that protein chain. Yep, you swim through. The body does not notice you, but somehow it accepts you. You pause near a heart valve, watching it open and close with perfect rhythm. Dot murmurs, this is where I sing most loudly. In the steady, the uncelebrated it. You pass through a neuron. It fires. A thought happens. Dot says, that was a memory of a leaf. Falling. You drift into a fingertip. A touch is happening. Skin against skin. Gentle. Reassuring. Dot whispers. That hand. Reaching for someone in grief. The world pulls back. You expand. Grow again. Reassemble into you. You are now standing in a school hallway. Children bustle past. One drops their notebook. Another stops to help. Dot says, I am in both of them. The one who lost. The one who noticed. You step outside. The street is busy. Cars. Dogs. Laughter. Dot continues. I am the spark in the engine. The wag in the tail. The ache in a laugh when it remembers something sad. A person stands alone at a bus stop, holding a bouquet that is just a little too wilted. They check the time. Then again. Dot murmurs. I am the waiting. A stranger walks by. Stops. Offers a smile. Dot says, and I am that too. You watch people move through their moments. Buying gum. Tying shoes. Daydreaming while pretending to listen to a podcast. Dot hums. You see it now. Do not you. You nod. Everything matters, especially when it is not trying to. The world shifts once more. Now you are alone in a dark room. One candle, one breath. Dot says, we do not need to go further. You have already arrived. You sit, close your eyes, and Dot begins to list. Not loudly, but with reverence. Tree sap hardening into amber. I was there. Glass breaking in slow motion on marble. I was there. The breath before a first kiss. The breath after the last word. A violin string tuned too tight. A shoelace pulled loose. A sigh from someone who did not know they were holding their breath. The crinkle of wrapping paper. The sting of lemon on a paper cut. An apology whispered across decades. A poem whispered to no one. The steam from soup. The chill before snow. The silence between questions. Each phrase is a star now. Floating around you. Dot says, I do not need to be seen. Just carried. Just remembered. You breathe in. You breathe out. You speak for the first time in hours. Maybe lifetimes. I remember you. Dot's voice is smaller now. Not weak. Just done. Then that is enough. You lie on the roof once more. The shingles cool. The stars gentle. The world no longer needs to spin to feel alive. You have seen it all. Through Dot's eyes. Through time's corridors. Through the spaces people forget to look. And now, nothing is louder than stillness. Dot does not say anything. Not right away. It waits. It knows how to wait. The radio pulses once. Then again. Then, let us tell your story. You blink. Mine. Dot hums. You have walked my path. Laughed where I sparked. Wept where I hid. But atoms are not the only things with long memories. People are made of patterns. 2. The air tilts. But this time, the tilt comes from within. You are no longer floating through ancient cities or laboratories. You are walking through a hallway of your own moments. There is the time you almost quit. There is the time you did not. There is the second grade classroom where you raised your hand, even though your voice trembled. There is the night you could not sleep, staring at the ceiling, wondering if you would ever feel less alone. Dot whispers, I was in your tears, but I was also in the laugh that came 2 days later, unexpectedly, and nothing at all. You open a door. Inside, kitchen. Yours, slightly messy, a magnet falling off the fridge. You see yourself, sitting at the table, fingers hovering over a keyboard, half-written messages, notes, ideas. You remember this moment. It was the day you nearly gave up writing. Dot says, you did not. You walk to the window. Outside, a younger version of you drawing spirals in the dirt. No reason, just joy. Dot murmurs. That was the first time you named a shape without needing to explain it. You step into another room, a hospital hallway. Someone you love is sleeping, and you are trying to stay awake. Dot says, I was the warmth in your tea, the steadiness in your knees. The hallway blurs. You are back in your teenage bedroom. Posters, pens, panic. You see a page torn out of a notebook, a single sentence scrawled. Dot reads it aloud. I think I might matter someday. The roof returns. You lie still. The sky above does not press down. It holds you. Dot's voice is softer than ever. You do matter. You always did. Even when no one said it. You swallow. Dot adds, you have carried me this far. Now I will carry you. The wind shifts. No chill. Just hush. Above, a star blinks once. And then 1,000 others follow. Not as lights, as witnesses. You feel something settle inside your chest. Not heavy, not light, just true. Dot says, the universe does not need more explosions. It needs people who remember how small things shine. You smile, not for anyone else, just for you. And Dot, and the million moments you forgot had meaning. You lie still, breath steady, stars above you, silent and endless, but not strangers anymore. The roof beneath you is no longer just shingles and nails. It is a cradle for everything you have learned, everything you have held, everything you are. Dot does not speak for a long while. Then, softly, this is the part where stories usually end. You close your eyes. But atoms do not end. Dot says, we just change roles. We become something else. A laugh, a grain of salt, a single note in someone's favorite song. The breeze shifts. Your fingers twitch gently in response. Not because you are cold, but because something in the air feels like goodbye. Dot continues, you have seen where I have been, but now, I want you to see where I go. Your body begins to feel weightless. Not the dizzy kind, the peaceful kind. You are floating above your own self, watching as the night folds into a softer version of itself. Around you, atoms shimmer, swirl, settle. Dot is in all of them. There is no ending. Dot whispers, just return. And with that, the roof dissolves. So does the city. So does your name. Not in loss, but in belonging. You become something slow, something steady, a breeze in a pine forest, a sunbeam through old glass, a heartbeat inside someone else's memory. Dot's voice fades, not into silence, but into you. I am not a guest anymore, it says. I am home, and then nothing. No hum, no pull, just warmth, just stillness, just sleep. Let it go now. Let your thoughts scatter like quiet leaves in late autumn. Nothing more to carry, nothing left to fix. The roof is gone, but not lost, just resting elsewhere. And your story, still glowing, written softly into every star above you. Breathe in through your nose. Slowly, let the air reach all the way to your toes. Hold it for just a moment. Now release it, long and easy, like you are letting go of a sigh that has waited years to be heard. The night is still. Around you, everything slows. The atoms do not rush anymore. They have seen enough, done enough. You have done enough. You are safe. You are whole. And there is nothing more expected of you. Not right now. Not in this hour between the ticking clock and the first light of morning. Not in this hush, where even the wind chooses silence. Feel your muscles soften, your jaw unclench, the corners of your eyes release the day. There is no destination. You are already there. Just drift now. Let the world hold you. Let your breath lead you somewhere gentle. The story does not need a final word. Just this, a stillness, a softness, a sleep that knows your name and asks nothing in return.